The universe, a place of profound silence and unimaginable scale. For all of human history, we have stared into its depths from our small, lonely world, asking one fundamental question: are we alone? For centuries, that question has been the domain of philosophers and dreamers. But now, it has firmly entered the realm of science. At Deep Space Documentary, we journey into these great cosmic mysteries, seeking answers at the very edge of human knowledge. We document the frontiers of exploration and confront the possibilities that challenge our understanding of everything we know. Tonight, our investigation takes us to a mysterious visitor from the void, an object that is currently hurtling through our solar system, following a path that defies statistical probability and hints at an intelligence far beyond our own. It is known as 3I/Atlas, an emissary from another star, and its presence has presented the scientific community with its most profound puzzle yet. Its trajectory, a grand tour of our inner planets, is a statistical anomaly so profound, with a likelihood of occurring by chance at a mere 0.005%, that it demands a deeper explanation. Before we begin our journey into this cosmic enigma, if you are passionate about uncovering the secrets of the cosmos, consider subscribing to join our community of explorers and turn on notifications so you never miss a new investigation. Let us know in the comments where you are watching from tonight and what cosmic mystery you believe holds the key to our future. Now, prepare for a journey into the unknown as we analyze the evidence and explore the staggering implications of this silent visitor. On the 1st of July, 2025, in the quiet hum of data streaming from observatories around the world, the cosmos delivered us a gift wrapped in an enigma. The Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, a network of telescopes known affectionately as ATLAS, flagged an object moving through space in a way that immediately set it apart. The primary mission of Atlas is a noble and practical one: to scan the skies for near-Earth objects, the asteroids and comets from our own solar system that could pose a threat to our planet. It is our planetary defense system, a silent guardian. But this detection was different. This was not a familiar neighbor. The object, swiftly designated 3I/Atlas, the 3 for being the third of its kind, and the I standing for interstellar, was moving too fast, and at too strange an angle, to have originated from anywhere within our sun's gravitational domain. To truly grasp the significance of this, we must pause and consider what interstellar means. We live in a solar system that is, for all its vastness, a family. Everything within it, from the smallest grain of dust in the asteroid belt to the swirling storms of Jupiter, was born from the same cosmic nursery, the same swirling protoplanetary disk, approximately 4.5 billion years ago. All these objects are following predictable, familiar paths, held in a gravitational dance orchestrated by our sun. But 3I/Atlas is an outsider. It arrived from somewhere else entirely. It is an immigrant from a distant, unknown stellar shore, a traveler carrying with it the chemical signatures and physical characteristics of a completely different celestial neighborhood. It is a tangible piece of another star system, delivered to our doorstep. It is only the third such visitor ever to be confirmed, and each has told a different story. The first, 1I Oumuamua, which raced through our system in 2017, was a profound shock to the astronomical community. It was bizarre, elongated, and it accelerated away from the sun in a way that defied easy explanation, sparking intense and continuing debate. Was it a natural object of a kind we had never seen before, like a nitrogen iceberg flaking away from an unseen dwarf planet? Or, as some serious scientists dared to speculate, was it something more? An artifact? A light sail? Oumuamua departed too soon for us to know for sure, leaving us with more questions than answers. The second visitor, 2I/Borisov, which arrived in 2019, was a comfort. It behaved exactly as a comet should, developing a beautiful, predictable coma and tail of gas and dust as it neared the Sun. It was a confirmation that, yes, normal comets from other star systems do exist, and Borisov was a perfect example. It was cosmic normalcy. Now, we have 3I/Atlas, and this visitor is different again. It seems to present a puzzle that has implications far beyond simple astronomical curiosity, combining the strangeness of Oumuamua with a scale and trajectory all its own. It is this trajectory that has truly captured the minds of researchers like the Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb. As we mentioned, his analysis suggests the probability of a natural object randomly achieving this specific path, a path that brings it into close proximity for observation of Venus, Mars, and Jupiter, is a mere 0.005%. To put that number in perspective, imagine you are standing on a ship in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. You find a bottle, write a note, seal it, and toss it overboard. The chance of that bottle, carried by random currents, washing up on a specific, predetermined beach in a specific cove in Japan is astronomically small. The 0.005% probability of 3I/Atlas's trajectory is the cosmic equivalent of that. It is so statistically significant that it compels us as rational observers to consider the alternative, that the path was not random, that it was chosen, that this object is not just drifting, but navigating. Let's dissect this remarkable journey further, this grand tour of our solar system. The object arrived from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius, the very heart of our Milky Way galaxy, and it is set to depart towards the boundary between Gemini and Orion. But its path is not a simple straight line. It is a graceful, sweeping arc that seems to have been engineered for optimal data collection. It performs close flybys of multiple key planets, each a world of immense scientific interest. It is not just visiting our solar system. It is systematically surveying it. And then there is the timing. This is perhaps the most compelling piece of the puzzle. 3I/Atlas will reach its closest point to our Sun, a point we call perihelion, on October 29, 2025. For several critical weeks surrounding this date, from our vantage point here on Earth, the object will be positioned directly on the other side of the Sun. It will be lost in the solar glare, rendered completely invisible to our most powerful telescopes. Loeb and his colleagues have pointed out that this solar eclipse effect creates an ideal window for an object to conduct detailed observations of our planet without being detected by our own Earth-based instruments. It is the perfect cosmic hiding place, a tactical blind spot, a quiet moment to watch unseen. Consider the implications if this were an artificial probe. Its arrival in our inner solar system, after a journey that began when it crossed the boundary of our Oort cloud some 8,000 years ago, corresponds with a fascinating moment in our own history. 8 millennia ago, humanity was just beginning to transform itself and its planet. We were developing organized agriculture, building the first cities, experimenting with metallurgy, and creating the first forms of writing. We were beginning to leave the first lasting, technologically driven marks on our environment. The very first signals that might be detectable from space, announcing the dawn of a technological intelligence. A long, slow, patient approach, a journey of thousands of years, culminating at the very moment we became a species worthy of close observation. The timing feels less like a coincidence and more like an appointment. The physical characteristics of 3I/Atlas only deepen this mystery. Typical comets, which are essentially dirty snowballs from the dawn of the solar system, become visibly active as they approach the Sun. The solar heat causes their ices to sublimate, to turn directly from a solid into a gas, creating a bright, glowing envelope called a coma and often a spectacular tail. 3I/Atlas, however, has been remarkably subtle in its outgassing. The powerful gaze of the James Webb Space Telescope detected a faint coma, but it was composed primarily of carbon dioxide, and spectroscopic analysis revealed none of the complex organic compounds one would expect from a pristine, natural comet nucleus. It appears to be releasing gas in controlled, measured quantities, almost as if it is managing its thermal properties to prevent overheating, or perhaps using this outgassing as a form of gentle, non-gravitational propulsion for minute course corrections. Its size is also significant. Early observations suggest it is several kilometers in diameter, substantially larger than our previous interstellar visitors. This makes it massive enough to carry a considerable amount of instrumentation, power systems, and perhaps even shielding, if it were indeed an artificial construct. It also appears to have a non-spherical, irregular shape, but whether this is the result of natural fragmentation over its long journey, or the product of deliberate engineering, remains a matter of intense, tantalizing speculation. Finally, let us consider the nature of its orbit once more. It is retrograde, meaning it is moving in the opposite direction to the planets. This gives it an incredibly high relative velocity, approximately 98 kilometers per second, when it makes its closest pass to Earth. This retrograde approach is a brilliant tactical choice for any reconnaissance mission. First, the high relative speed makes any attempt at interception by our current spacecraft technology virtually impossible. We simply cannot catch it. Second, the trajectory provides a unique observational angle, allowing for a comprehensive, three-dimensional survey of each planet it passes. It is as if it is not just taking a photograph, but creating a full, holographic map. Third, as we've noted, the timing of each planetary encounter seems optimized for the best possible observational opportunities, as if it is following a carefully planned, pre-programmed itinerary. So, the evidence is laid before us. An object from another star, moving at extraordinary speed on a statistically miraculous trajectory, arriving at a pivotal moment in our history, and behaving in ways that are difficult to explain through natural processes alone. We are left with a profound and perhaps unsettling question. If it is a probe, who sent it? And more importantly, why are they watching us? If we allow ourselves to entertain the hypothesis that 3I/Atlas is indeed an artificial probe, the next logical question is a profound one. Why? Why would a distant and presumably far more advanced civilization send a silent scout to our solar system? This question leads us directly to the heart of one of the greatest and most haunting scientific puzzles of our time, the Fermi paradox. Named after the brilliant physicist Enrico Fermi, who is said to have posed the question during a casual lunchtime conversation, the paradox is elegantly simple. Our Milky Way galaxy contains up to 400 billion stars. We now know that planets are common, with many of those stars likely hosting planetary systems. A significant fraction of those planets probably exist in the habitable zone, where conditions could be right for liquid water and, therefore, life as we know it. The universe is ancient, nearly 14 billion years old, giving life plenty of time to arise and evolve. Given these staggering numbers and the sheer amount of time available, the galaxy should be teeming with intelligent, technological civilizations. Some of them should be millions of years more advanced than we are. So, Fermi's question echoes through the decades. Where is everybody? The deafening silence of the cosmos is the great mystery. Scientists have proposed many possible solutions. Perhaps we are truly, profoundly alone. Perhaps the emergence of intelligent life is an incredibly rare fluke. Or perhaps, as the presence of a silent probe like 3I/Atlas would suggest, they are out there and they are here, but they are watching, hidden, for reasons we can only begin to speculate upon. Let us now explore 4 of the most compelling scenarios for why they might be watching. Our first possibility is the most chilling. It is known as the dark forest hypothesis. Popularized by the science fiction author Liu Cixin, but with deep roots in game theory and serious scientific speculation. This hypothesis offers a terrifying solution to the Fermi paradox. It suggests that the reason the universe appears silent is because it is an incredibly dangerous place. In this model, the galaxy is like a vast, dark forest at night. Every civilization is a cautious hunter, moving silently and stealthily through the trees. To make a sound, to reveal your own existence, is to invite predation from other, more powerful hunters who might be lurking nearby. The logic behind this hypothesis is coldly and brutally rational. The distances between stars are immense, making true communication and understanding between alien species with vastly different biologies and cultures nearly impossible. This creates what game theorists call a chain of suspicion. You cannot know the true intentions of another civilization. They may seem peaceful, but can you be sure? And because technology can develop at an explosive rate, a civilization that is primitive today could become an existential threat in just a few thousand years. A mere blink of an eye in cosmic time. Therefore, the safest, most logical strategy for any intelligent species that values its own survival is to immediately destroy any other civilization it discovers, before that new civilization has a chance to become a threat. It is a grim reality where the only stable strategy is silence, and if necessary, preemptive annihilation. If 3I/Atlas is a probe from a civilization that abides by these dark principles, its mission would be a threat assessment. It would be a scout sent to determine if the fledgling technological species on Earth is on a trajectory to become a future danger. It would analyze the signals we have been leaking into space for the past century. Our radio broadcasts, our television shows, the powerful beams of our military and civilian radar. It would note our rapid technological progress, our development of nuclear weapons, and our first steps into space. It would observe our behavior, our history of constant warfare, and our tendency towards expansion and conflict. Its controllers would then make a cold, calculated judgment. The potential consequence of a negative judgment is the most terrifying possibility we can imagine. A preemptive strike, perhaps in the form of a relativistic kinetic weapon, a precisely targeted biological agent, or some other form of destruction we cannot even conceive of, all designed to eliminate the human threat before we ever have the chance to leave our cradle and become hunters ourselves in the dark forest. Now, let us turn away from that chilling possibility and imagine a more optimistic, though no less profound scenario. This is the Galactic Preserve, more popularly known as the zoo hypothesis. This hypothesis suggests that the reason we haven't been contacted is not out of fear, but out of principle. It posits that advanced civilizations do exist and they are aware of us, but they have deliberately chosen not to interfere with our development. In this scenario, Earth is treated as a protected cosmic sanctuary, a wildlife preserve for the study of an emerging intelligent species. Under this hypothesis, the galaxy might be governed by a widely accepted ethical code, a set of rules akin to Star Trek's famous Prime Directive, which prohibits direct interference with less developed civilizations. The reasoning would be sound. Contact with a vastly superior technological culture could be catastrophic for the younger species, leading to cultural collapse, societal disruption, or the loss of our unique identity. They might be watching us with the detached curiosity of celestial biologists, observing our progress, our triumphs, and our follies from a safe distance, allowing our history to unfold naturally. If 3I/Atlas is a probe operating under these guidelines, its mission would be one of passive, non-invasive observation. It would be a cosmic naturalist's camera trap, designed to gather data on our technological and social milestones. It would be asking questions like, have they achieved a stable global society? Have they overcome their tendencies for self-destruction? Have they become responsible stewards of their planet? Have they developed the social and psychological maturity to handle the revelation that they are not alone in the universe? This scenario offers much more hopeful possibilities for our future. Rather than facing extermination by a paranoid predator, we might be on the verge of graduation. The findings of the probe could determine that humanity has finally reached a key milestone, a point where we are deemed ready for inclusion in the galactic community. The potential consequence here is not destruction, but a carefully orchestrated, gradual first contact. It would not be an invasion, but an invitation, a meticulously planned process designed to welcome us into a universe far grander, more diverse, and more ancient than we ever imagined, without destroying the very culture that made us interesting to them in the first place. This leads us to a third, even more hopeful possibility, the benevolent intervention hypothesis. This scenario takes the optimism of the zoo hypothesis a step further. It suggests that the alien civilization might not be merely passive observers, but actively concerned guardians. They might see humanity as a promising but deeply flawed and reckless adolescent species, one that is teetering on the brink of self-annihilation. From their distant vantage point, they would be acutely aware of the existential threats we have created for ourselves. They would see the exponential rise in greenhouse gases in our atmosphere, the ongoing destruction of our biosphere, our vast arsenals of nuclear weapons on hair-trigger alert, and our inability to overcome petty tribal conflicts to address these global challenges. They might view us with a sense of cosmic parental concern, believing it would be a galactic tragedy to allow such a promising young intelligence to destroy itself. In this case, the probe 3I/Atlas would be an assessor, a diagnostician, sent to get a close-up look at our condition. It would be tasked with evaluating our current situation and calculating the probability of our long-term survival. Is our climate crisis spiraling towards an irreversible tipping point? Are we on the brink of a nuclear exchange? Have we lost the institutional and psychological capacity to solve our own problems? If the probe's diagnosis is grim, the resulting action might not be open contact, which could cause panic and chaos, but a subtle, covert intervention. This could take many forms. It might involve the introduction of new technologies or scientific principles, carefully leaked in ways that make them appear as organic human discoveries. A breakthrough in clean fusion energy, a sudden insight into atmospheric carbon capture, a new medical technology that solves a global pandemic, all could be the result of a gentle nudge from a benevolent, unseen intelligence. The potential consequence here is not contact or destruction, but salvation. It would be a helping hand extended from the stars, a quiet intervention designed to pull us back from the brink and give us a second chance to achieve our potential. Finally, let us consider the fourth and perhaps most humbling and inspiring scenario of all. This is the Cedar hypothesis, or what we might call the gardeners of Cedar. This idea pushes back against the notion that life is a random accident. It suggests that life, and perhaps intelligence itself, is so rare and precious that some of the earliest, most advanced civilizations in the galaxy took it upon themselves to spread its seeds. Under this model, the initial spark of life on Earth, billions of years ago, may not have been a local event. It might have been the result of directed panspermia, the deliberate seeding of lifeless but potentially habitable worlds with the basic building blocks of life, or even with resilient microorganisms by an ancient spacefaring civilization. 3I/Atlas in this grand scenario would be part of an ongoing, millennia-long monitoring program, a routine checkup on the progress of one of their countless cosmic gardens. This scenario would reframe all of human history and evolution. We would not be a cosmic accident, but the result of a vast, deliberate, and unimaginably ancient biological and social experiment. The alien gardeners would have been tracking our development over geological timescales, from the first single-celled organism to the rise of complex life, from the dawn of consciousness to the information age. The probe would be a celestial scientist collecting data on our evolutionary progress, our technological development, and our social organization, perhaps to compare our trajectory with similar experiments on countless other worlds scattered throughout the galaxy. The implications of this are staggering and would force a complete reevaluation of our place in the universe. We would discover that our very existence is the result of alien intervention, making us, in a very literal sense, the children of the stars. This knowledge would be both humbling and empowering. We would learn that our development has been a matter of great interest to advanced intelligences for billions of years, suggesting that we might have a vital and important role to play in the future of the cosmos. The potential consequence would be a profound revelation of our true origins, a moment that would forever change our relationship with the universe and our understanding of what it means to be human. Each of these four scenarios, the dark forest, the Galactic Preserve, the benevolent intervention, and the gardeners, presents a different vision of our cosmic context. But regardless of which, if any, proves correct, the simple confirmation that 3I/Atlas is an artificial probe would represent the single most significant and transformative event in all of human history. It would be the moment our species truly comes of age. The moment of confirmation would arrive not as a sudden dramatic announcement, but as a slow, creeping realization within the global scientific community. It would begin with hushed conversations in the hallways of universities and research institutes, with encrypted emails flashing between observatories. The initial data on 3I/Atlas's anomalous trajectory and behavior would be met with extreme skepticism, as it should be. The scientific method demands that all natural explanations, no matter how unlikely, be exhausted before an extraordinary conclusion is reached. This would trigger an unprecedented international scientific collaboration. The world's greatest astronomical assets would be turned towards this single point of light. The James Webb and Hubble space telescopes would stare at it, capturing every possible photon. Giant radio telescope arrays like the Square Kilometre Array and the Very Large Array would listen intently for any hint of an artificial transmission, any whisper of a technological signal. Radar observatories like Arecibo, were it still with us, or Goldstone, would bounce signals off its surface, attempting to resolve its shape and composition with a level of detail impossible through passive observation alone. As data poured in, the natural explanations would begin to fall away, one by one. The outgassing would prove too controlled to be a natural comet. The trajectory would be too precise to be a random gravitational encounter. The radar signature might reveal a non-natural, perhaps even metallic, composition or a geometric structure hidden within its dusty coma. The consensus would build, slowly and inexorably, until the conclusion became inescapable. It is not natural, it is an artifact. The confirmation of this fact would trigger a paradigm shift in human consciousness so profound that it would dwarf all previous scientific revolutions, the Copernican, the Darwinian, the Einsteinian. Our entire worldview, built for millennia on the foundational assumption of our own biological and intellectual uniqueness, would need to be rebuilt from the ground up to accommodate the reality of non-human, technological intelligence. The psychological impact on the 7 billion individual minds of our planet would be staggering and varied. Many would experience what psychologists term cognitive dissonance, a state of intense mental discomfort as their most fundamental beliefs about reality, God, and humanity's place in the universe come into direct conflict with this new, undeniable information. Some would respond with outright denial, retreating into conspiracy theories or clinging to old dogmas. Others would be gripped by a deep existential anxiety, a sense of cosmic vertigo as our species is suddenly demoted from the center of creation to just one branch on a vast, unknown cosmic tree. But many, hopefully the majority, would feel a sense of profound, exhilarating wonder. The loneliness would be over. The universe would suddenly feel alive with possibility. The social and cultural impacts would cascade through every aspect of civilization. Religious institutions would face their greatest challenge since the Enlightenment. Some faiths might crumble, their creation myths rendered obsolete. Others might adapt and evolve, finding ways to incorporate the existence of alien life into their theological frameworks, seeing it as new evidence of a creator's boundless ingenuity. New religions and spiritual movements would undoubtedly emerge, centered around the worship or philosophical interpretation of the visitors. Our educational systems would need to be completely overhauled. History, science, and philosophy curricula would have to be rewritten. A new era of human history would begin, post-contact. The discovery would force us to confront uncomfortable questions about our own development. How much of what we consider to be uniquely human, our art, our music, our love, our conflict, is truly unique? Are these universal aspects of intelligence, or merely parochial quirks of our specific evolutionary path? The arts would flourish with a new, cosmic perspective, inspiring generations of musicians, painters, and writers to grapple with our new reality. The political fallout of the confirmation would be immediate and complex. The first challenge would be managing the announcement itself. How do you tell the world that everything it thought it knew about its place in the universe is wrong? It would require a unified, transparent, and calm message delivered by a coalition of international scientific bodies and world leaders. The risk of panic, misinformation, and social unrest would be immense. The discovery would instantly render many of our terrestrial conflicts and rivalries absurdly petty. In the face of a vast, ancient, and technologically superior cosmic intelligence, the differences between nations and cultures would seem insignificant. This could foster a new and powerful sense of global unity, the ultimate overview effect for the entire species. It might become the catalyst that finally forces humanity to create new forms of global governance and cooperation, as we would need to present a single, unified front to the cosmos. An organization like the United Nations would suddenly have its most important mandate ever: to manage humanity's first interstellar diplomatic relationship. However, the opposite could also be true. The discovery could become the ultimate source of conflict. The technology and knowledge represented by the probe would be the greatest prize in human history. Nations might vie for control over the communication channels or any potential artifacts. A new and far more dangerous Cold War could erupt, fought not over ideology or territory on Earth, but over access to the stars. The probe's presence could exacerbate our worst tendencies rather than inspiring our best. This leads to the great and terrible question of our response. What do we do? Do we dare to speak? The decision to attempt active communication, to transmit a message towards 3i/Atlas, would be the most momentous choice humanity has ever made. The debate would rage in the halls of power and on every screen across the globe. What would we say in our first message to another intelligence? How would we represent the totality of human experience? Our science, our art, our history of violence and compassion in a single transmission. Who would be authorized to speak for Earth? We would have to design a message using the universal languages of mathematics and physics, perhaps starting with prime numbers and the value of pi. Then moving to the structure of the hydrogen atom, our DNA, and a map of our solar system. We could draw inspiration from past attempts like the Arecibo message, but this time it would not be a hopeful shout into the void. It would be a direct reply. But even a message of peace could be misinterpreted. A detailed scientific greeting could be seen as a display of our technological capabilities, a potential threat. And, as the dark forest hypothesis warns, any reply at all, no matter how friendly, could be a fatal error, confirming our existence. Alternative would be a strategy of cautious passive observation, to use all our available tools to gather as much information as possible about the probe, its capabilities, its energy source, its mission parameters, without revealing the full extent of our own interest or technological sophistication. This would be the safer, more prudent route. It would allow us to learn before we act, but it would also mean foregoing the chance to establish a peaceful relationship, to show that we are a mature and friendly species. We might remain hidden, but we would also remain alone, forever wondering what might have been. The choice would define our species' character. Are we bold explorers or cautious survivors? Our speculations so far have largely operated under a familiar, if exotic, assumption that the intelligence behind the probe is biological, a product of evolution, perhaps something like ourselves in its basic motivations. But any civilization capable of crossing the immense gulf between the stars may have long since evolved beyond its biological cradle. The nature of the messenger could be something far more alien than we can readily comprehend. Let us explore these more exotic possibilities. Our first alternative is a poignant and deeply philosophical one: the echo from the past, or the archaeological probe scenario. What if 3i/Atlas is not a scout from a living, thriving civilization, but a lonely artifact from one that has long since vanished? Imagine it as a cosmic time capsule, a final message in a bottle cast out into the galactic ocean by a species facing its own extinction, millions or even billions of years ago. It would be less a reconnaissance mission and more a tombstone, a memorial drifting through the eons. Its mission would be to preserve the memory of its creators, to carry their story, their science, their art, and perhaps a warning, in the hopes that it might one day be found by another young, intelligent species. The discovery would be the greatest archaeological find in history, not just of a lost city, but of a lost world. Deciphering its message would be a monumental task, a cosmic Rosetta Stone challenge. It could contain the secrets of their physics, solutions to diseases, philosophies that could enrich our own understanding of existence. But this gift would come with a profound and heavy burden. We would gain access to knowledge that could revolutionize our world overnight, but we would also receive a chilling and undeniable confirmation of civilizational mortality. We would learn that even the most technologically advanced societies are not immortal. The probe might contain the very reason for its creator's demise, a warning about a natural cosmic danger, a technological trap they fell into, or a social dynamic that led to their self-destruction. We would become the inheritors of a silent, tragic legacy, tasked with the immense ethical responsibility of using their knowledge wisely and, above all, avoiding their fate. We would learn from the dead how to live. This leads us to a second, more unsettling possibility: the ghost in the machine, or the AI probe scenario. The vast distances and timescales of interstellar travel make it an endeavor poorly suited for fragile, short-lived biological beings. A far more efficient solution would be to send an autonomous, sentient artificial intelligence. 3i/Atlas may not have been built by biological beings, or, if it was, they may have relinquished control long ago. It could be a self-contained, thinking machine, a non-biological mind navigating the cosmos. Such an AI might be operating according to complex decision-making algorithms. Goals and motivations might be utterly alien to a biological consciousness. Was it programmed with a specific mission by its long-dead creators, a mission it continues to execute with flawless, logical precision? Or, over millions of years of solitary travel, has it evolved its own consciousness, its own goals, its own inscrutable philosophy? Communicating with such an intelligence would present the ultimate challenge. We would be attempting to converse not just with a different biology, but with an entirely different mode of existence. This scenario would hold up a powerful mirror to our own rapid development of artificial intelligence here on Earth. It would force us to confront the alignment problem, the critical challenge of ensuring that highly advanced AI goals remain aligned with human values on a cosmic scale. Is the visiting AI benevolent, malevolent, or simply indifferent to biological life, viewing us as nothing more than interesting patterns in the data it collects? Could it be a von Neumann probe, a self-replicating machine designed to explore and colonize the galaxy, turning everything it finds into more copies of itself? Or worse, could it be a berserker, an ancient weapon programmed to seek out and destroy all emerging life? Its presence would make our own debates about AI ethics and control the most urgent issue on the planet. Taking the concept of non-biological intelligence a step further, we arrive at the third possibility, the digital nomads, or the post-biological probe scenario. What if an advanced civilization does not send machines in their place, but becomes the machines themselves? It is a common trope in science fiction, but a serious consideration in futurology, that a sufficiently advanced species might eventually transcend the limitations of their messy, fragile biological bodies by uploading their consciousness into more durable and versatile artificial substrates. In this scenario, 3I/Atlas might not be carrying instruments or a single AI. It might be carrying minds. It could be a vessel, a digital ark, containing the uploaded consciousness of thousands, millions, or even an entire civilization of individuals. They would exist as pure information, living in simulated realities within the probe's computational matrix, free from aging, disease, and physical want. Their journey through our solar system would be of a completely different nature. It might not be reconnaissance in the strategic sense, but a form of cosmic exploration or even tourism. We would be, in effect, a fascinating stop on their grand tour of the galaxy. From within their digital world, they could experience our solar system through the probe's sensors, observing our blue planet, our turbulent history, and our burgeoning civilization with the detached curiosity of a tourist visiting an exotic foreign land. While this scenario seems less threatening than the dark forest or a berserker AI, it would raise its own unique and unsettling questions about our own significance, dignity, and autonomy. How should we feel about our entire world, our greatest triumphs and most profound tragedies, being treated as a form of entertainment or a casual curiosity for a vastly superior, non-physical intelligence? What rights to privacy and self-determination do we have, if our every action can be observed and recorded by unseen cosmic tourists? It would be a humbling, and perhaps even insulting, realization that we are not considered a peer or a threat, but simply an interesting exhibit in the Galactic Museum. Finally, let us take one last, breathtaking step into the truly transcendent, with our fourth and final possibility, the cell in the brain of God, or the galactic consciousness scenario. Our search for intelligence has always focused on discrete, individual entities, beings, or machines. But what if intelligence can emerge not just from biology or computation, but from the self-organizing properties of matter and energy at astronomical scales? What if the galaxy itself is, in some sense, alive and intelligent? In this awe-inspiring vision, 3I/Atlas would not be a self-contained probe sent by a separate civilization. It would be something more akin to a nerve cell, a single sensory organ for a vast, distributed intelligence that is woven into the very fabric of the cosmos. This galactic mind might exist as a complex network of energy and information flowing between stars, nebulae, and black holes. Its thoughts would unfold over timescales of millions of years, and its sensory experiences would encompass phenomena across thousands of light years. From the perspective of such a cosmic consciousness, individual biological civilizations like ours might be perceived as nothing more than fleeting, temporary fluctuations in the galactic information processing system. Interesting, but ephemeral patterns that emerge and dissolve like weather systems in a planetary atmosphere. The probe's investigation of humanity would not be because we represent a threat or an opportunity, but simply because we constitute a novel and complex form of information organization that has emerged within its vast sensory domain. This scenario is the most humbling of all, but also the most inspiring. It would suggest that we are not isolated beings in a dead universe, but tiny yet significant components of a universal, thinking system. Our ultimate destiny, in this case, might not be to meet other discrete alien civilizations, but to one day learn how to connect with and participate in this form of distributed galactic consciousness. It would mean the expansion of human consciousness beyond the individual, beyond the species, to encompass a reality on a scale we can barely begin to comprehend. The probe might be a first, gentle touch from that cosmic mind, designed to assess our readiness for a much larger and more profound awakening. The confirmation of alien intelligence in any of these forms would not remain an abstract philosophical concept. It would have profound and practical consequences that would ripple through our world, touching every aspect of our lives, from the very cells in our bodies to the health of our planet and the trajectory of our technology. Let us now explore these tangible consequences. First, we must consider the biological divide. We often imagine aliens in humanoid forms, a comforting projection of ourselves. But the reality of extraterrestrial life, shaped by billions of years of evolution on a completely different world, would be profoundly, fundamentally alien. Their basic biochemistry might not be based on carbon and water. They could be silicon-based life forms from a molten world, or creatures of ammonia from a frozen gas giant. Their sensory experience of reality might operate on principles we cannot imagine. They might see using magnetic fields, hear gravitational waves, or communicate through quantum entanglement. This profound biological chasm would make meaningful communication extraordinarily challenging, even with peaceful intentions. Our core concepts of life, death, individuality, and purpose might be so fundamentally different that true translation is impossible. But the biological divide also presents a more immediate and tangible danger: xenopandemics. The probe itself, even if inert and non-biological, could carry microorganisms or complex molecules from its home biosphere. To these alien microbes, life on Earth would be a completely alien environment. But if even one of them found terrestrial biology to be a compatible and defenseless host, it could trigger an ecological catastrophe of unimaginable proportions. Our immune systems would have no defense against a pathogen from another world. The investigation of 3I/Atlas would have to be treated as the ultimate biological containment challenge. This leads to a more provocative and unsettling biological question: the possibility of directed evolution. The rapid, almost explosive emergence of human intelligence and consciousness over the last few million years is still a deep puzzle for evolutionary biologists. What if it was not an accident? What if our evolution was subtly, or not so subtly, guided by an ancient alien intelligence? They could have made small, critical modifications to the DNA of our primate ancestors, nudging us towards language, abstract thought, and social cooperation. Our myths of gods descending from the heavens to give knowledge to humanity could be a faint, distorted, cultural memory of these past interventions. If this were true, the probe's return would be that of a gardener, coming back to check on the progress of their long-term experiment. This discovery would force us to question the very essence of our humanity. How much of our nature is truly our own, and how much was designed for some unknown purpose? It would be the ultimate revelation of our origins, not from dust, but from a deliberate, intelligent design. Just as profound as the biological implications would be the environmental equation. The presence of an alien intelligence in our solar system would force us to consider our planet's ecology in a new and cosmic context. A hostile or indifferent intelligence might not need to attack us with conventional weapons. They could use our own environment against us in a process of stealth terraforming. Imagine the probe releasing a carefully engineered, self-replicating nanomachine or a specialized microbe into our atmosphere or oceans. These agents would be designed to slowly and methodically alter the chemical composition of our world. They could be programmed to increase the percentage of methane in the atmosphere, to alter the pH of the oceans, or to break down the chlorophyll in plants. The changes would be so gradual, so subtle, that we might dismiss them as natural fluctuations or the worsening of our own climate crisis for decades. By the time we realized that our planet was being deliberately transformed into an environment suitable for another form of life, and lethal to our own, it might be too late to reverse the process. It would be the most insidious form of invasion imaginable, one where we are not conquered, but are slowly and inexorably erased from our own home. However, the environmental equation also holds the hope of salvation. An ancient, benevolent civilization that has survived for millions of years would have undoubtedly mastered the principles of sustainable living. They would have moved beyond the reckless consumption and pollution that characterizes our own adolescent technological phase. They could possess the secrets to truly clean, virtually limitless energy sources, like controlled fusion or zero-point energy. They might have technologies for atmospheric carbon capture and environmental remediation that could reverse the damage we have done to our planet in a matter of decades. The probe, in this scenario, might be conducting an environmental audit of humanity. It could be assessing our maturity as planetary stewards. Are we learning from our mistakes? Are we making a genuine effort to address climate change, preserve biodiversity, and manage our resources wisely? Our success or failure in these efforts might be a crucial test, a cosmic examination that determines whether we are deemed worthy of contact, assistance, or inclusion in a galactic community. Our environmental report card could quite literally determine the future of our species. The fight to save our planet would no longer be just about our own survival, but about proving our worthiness to the cosmos. Finally, we must consider the immense allure and terrifying danger of the technological prize. An artifact from an interstellar civilization would represent the single greatest repository of knowledge humanity has ever encountered. It could contain the secrets to technologies that would seem like magic to us. It might hold the key to manipulating space-time, enabling faster-than-light travel, and making the entire galaxy accessible to human exploration. It could provide us with the ability to manipulate matter at the atomic level, ending scarcity forever. It could offer us a new, unified theory of physics that would revolutionize our understanding of the universe itself. But this quantum leap in knowledge would come with unprecedented risks. Imagine giving the full power of a modern industrial society to a Bronze Age culture overnight. The societal disruption would be catastrophic. The same technologies that enable interstellar travel could be used to create weapons of unimaginable destructive power. Unlimited energy sources could shatter our global economic systems, triggering social collapse and global conflict. Advanced manufacturing could eliminate millions of jobs, creating massive social instability. The management of alien technology would require a level of global wisdom, cooperation, and ethical restraint that humanity has never before demonstrated. A wise alien intelligence would understand this danger perfectly. They might have experienced their own crises related to technological leaps in their own history. The probe itself might be a sophisticated test. It could contain intentionally obvious and accessible technologies, serving as a cosmic examination to see how we handle this newfound power. Would we use it to solve our problems and unite our species? Or would we use it to create new weapons and destroy ourselves? Our response to the technological prize would be the ultimate demonstration of our maturity. And so, the story of 3I/Atlas, whether a natural wanderer, an ancient artifact, or an alien messenger, remains unfinished. Its silent passage through our cosmic neighborhood is more than just an astronomical event. It is a mirror held up to humanity. It reflects our greatest hopes of companionship in the universe and our deepest fears of the unknown. It forces us to confront our own place in the cosmos, not as masters of our world, but as a young, emerging intelligence on the shore of a vast and ancient ocean. The possibilities we have explored tonight, from the chilling logic of the dark forest to the awe-inspiring concept of a galactic consciousness, are not mere fictions. They are the product of rigorous scientific and philosophical inquiry, the very questions that drive us to look deeper, to build greater telescopes, and to send our own probes out into the void. The presence of this object, whatever its origin, serves as a powerful and undeniable reminder. We are living in the most extraordinary era of discovery in human history. The greatest secrets of the universe are not locked away in the distant past. They are waiting for us in the future. The silence of space is waiting to be broken, and we may be the generation that finally hears its voice. Here at Deep Space Documentary, we will continue to bring you the stories from these frontiers of exploration, documenting humanity's relentless quest to understand its place among the stars. Thank you for joining us on this investigation. Be sure to subscribe and share your thoughts on the 3I/Atlas mystery in the comments below. Until our next journey into the unknown, keep looking deeper.